Over the course of his political career, this man has lost 2 marriages, his reputation and his money. Because they're about to enter the most dangerous place in Australia for women. This is the Mark McGowan who was threatened recently with beheading. After saying "F off, we're full" to virus-riddled foreigners for the past 2 years, we're now putting out the welcome mat.
This week should just go in the bin.
2 days ago, we drew a line in the sand about inappropriate behaviour in Parliament.
We all share in the ownership of the problems that are set out in this report.
The report by Sex Discrimination Commissioner Kate Jenkins was meant to hit the reset button.
Women we spoke to told us they felt lucky when they had not directly experienced sexual harassment or sexual assault.
Since then, Christian Porter has quit amidst historical rape allegations and ongoing concerns about who bankrolled his defamation case. A Green senator left a female MP in tears after saying, "At least I keep my legs shut," during a debate in Parliament. A former staffer of Alan Tudge claimed he was emotionally abusive and in one instance physically abusive towards her when they had an affair. A WA Nationals MP has been charged with child sex offences. And a branch of the WA Liberal Party has called for Nick Goiran and Peter Collier to quit for bringing their party's reputation into disrepute.
What is wrong with you people? Huh?
That's a lot to unpack.
Take it from the top.
Okay, but make it quick because it's quite miserable.
Porter has hit the ejector seat and is quitting Parliament, says he has no regrets. Over the course of his political career, this man has lost 2 marriages, his reputation and his money. Christian Porter has more regrets than any person in Australia. We're hearing a lot of people talking about how he is a great loss, how we have missed out on someone who would have been a great Prime Minister. Where were these supporters when he walked out of that train wreck of a press conference a few months ago? Colin Barnett has been on radio talking about how this is democracy's great loss. Where were you, Colin, when the Me Too pack was piling on?
Do you think he should have quit?
Yes, but not over the rape accusation. He had to quit because he saw nothing wrong with accepting money from unknown sources to pay his legal bills from when he sued the ABC. The nation's first law officer was irreparably compromised the moment he said, "Yeah, I'll take the cash."
And how about this bizarre exchange in the Senate?
So this is the Green senator that nobody has ever heard of, reducing a Liberal senator nobody has ever heard of to tears in one of the most bizarre dissings the upper house has ever seen. And that's saying something because Pauline Hanson and Jackie Lambie sit in that chamber. Lydia Thorpe was arguing with Holly Hughes when she said, "At least I keep my legs shut."
Senator Thorpe just made the most outrageous statement directed at Senator Hughes, which you probably didn't hear.
Now, other Libs took this as evidence of slut-shaming.
In the scheme of disgusting statements made in this chamber, that surely ranks at the top of them.
And we're probably wondering how Thorpe reconciled the remark with her tirade earlier this year about how male MPs were doing and saying sexually inappropriate things to her. Hughes didn't appear to think it was slut-shaming, but rather an obtuse insult about her autistic son.
Which Thorpe then denies.
And goes on to say Hughes's interpretation is harmful to every disabled person.
Go figure.
That exchange happened on Wednesday night. 12 hours later, the one-time mistress of Education Minister Alan Tudge walks into Parliament House and tells anyone who would listen that Tudge was physically abusive to her when they had an affair. Rochelle Miller says they were in the same bed in a hotel room in Kalgoorlie in 2017 when he allegedly kicked her for taking an early morning phone call and disturbing his sleep. Tudge completely denies it. But as Porter has shown, in 2021, a strident denial counts for nothing. He stood down from the front bench while an independent investigation is launched. According to Scott Morrison, Tudge looks forward to participating in this process.
Like a hole in the head.
Because he knows it's a process which will never resolve the allegation because there were only 2 people in that bed in Kalgoorlie and they both have different recollections of what happened at 4 in the morning when the phone started ringing. So he's doomed to suffer the same fate as Porter, which, let's be honest, Rochelle Miller knew when she went public with the new allegations 4 years after the incident and 12 months after she headlined the ABC's Canberra Bubble expose.
It's not just Canberra, which has got a reputational problem.
No. Manjimup pastor turned Nationals MP James Hayward has just been charged with 3 counts of indecent dealing with a child under 13, 1 count of procuring a child under 13, and 1 count of persistent sexual conduct. The alleged victim is an 8-year-old girl. Hayward was in court as the Liberal Party did its ineffectual best to get rid of Clan member Nick Goiran, who has made it one of his missions to stymie a woman's right to choose, and Peter Collier, who was busted on that WhatsApp message thread calling women sandwich makers, prized bitches and toxic cows.
And despite all of this, there are still women putting their hands up.
2 very brave women have thrown their hats in the ring to replace Christian Porter in the seat of Pearce. They'll be going up against Wanneroo Mayor Tracy Roberts, who's Labor's candidate. Michaela Riley would have seen her fair share of men behaving badly. She worked in 3 of the biggest boys' clubs in Australia. First the Navy, then the construction industry, and also the Big 4 accounting firm PwC. Libby Lyons is also touted as a Liberal candidate for Pearce. She knows exactly what she's in for because she was the director of the Australian Government's Workplace Gender Equality Agency. Lyons, Riley and Roberts deserve our respect and best wishes because they're about to enter the most dangerous place in Australia for women.
Not as safe as good old WA.
Mark McGowan has unveiled his $185 million border reopening plan. After saying "F off, we're full" to virus-riddled foreigners for the past 2 years, we're now putting out the welcome mat. We're spending millions to establish new flight routes to countries such as Germany and China. Chinese people being the first we told to F off early last year when people in Wuhan started getting sick, and Germans being the second people we told to F off when the cruise ship Artania became the most hated boatload of Huns since the Cormorant sank HMAS Sydney. McGowan's pitch is that WA is the safest place on earth.
You look sceptical.
This is the Mark McGowan who was threatened recently with beheading. The Mark McGowan who had to close his electoral office because his staff were worried about being raped by anti-vaxxers. The Mark McGowan who's thinking about moving out of Rockingham because it's become too dangerous. Rockingham has become too dangerous. Yeah, WA's safest houses. Our new travel agent-in-chief has his work cut out for him. He's got to convince people living in Perth not to go overseas and keep holidaying at home with him.
Do you want to pick me up? Go to the pub and then grab a kebab with me, Mark McGowan.
Because of what he says is an inevitable drop in business when West Australians can travel abroad once more, while at the same time convincing people from overseas that they should come and enjoy all that Perth has to offer. A cosmopolitan home of fine food and wine, a city of polite and respectful children, curious wildlife, and friendly community clubs, which are always keen to welcome new members.
Still better than Canberra.
I'm Ben Harvey. For more update, click the subscribe button below.